Love playing Standard on Magic Online? Check out Academy's Standard Bot in the Magic Online Classifieds for Standard singles.
It is time for the finals with our black-white deck, and I'm going first. Another slow hand, Tide of Fates once again. Not looking like the all-star that I would like it to be, but this hand is solid, so not going to mulligan. I've really been liking the 18 land setup that I'm running, and also the white was usually not a huge problem. Such a Scorpion. And read the bones. I am on the play, so could potentially cast Read the Bones. If there's no 2-drop that I want to block with Scholar of Athreos, that might be solid line. But the Scholar is probably just the better play, with Tide of Fates on 4 and then the Read the Bones for later. At this stage, I don't really need to get extra cards, and that way I'll know for sure what I'm looking for. Minotaur Skull Cleaver, so getting that skull into play definitely good here. Can't block either of these, but I will play the Triad now. Now my goal is just to prevent losing any more life here, so that my Read the Bones have the best effect possible. And Lash of the Whip is hopefully taking care of anything larger my opponent plays. Another Skull Cleaver, interesting. Tide of Fates is dominating the Skull Cleavers, but taking another 4 is also... wow, that's super aggressive. I think that means that there is a coordinated assault in my opponent's hand, and I don't even have a way to play around that. So I'm gonna block here and here to protect my life total. That way I'm not losing the Scholar to the first strike Death Touch. It's still a fine trade for my opponent, but I don't think I could have taken too much damage here, because Tide of Fate still trades unfavorably against Coordinated Assault with this kind of board, so I think that's fine. But yeah, Read the Bones, not the best card to be casting here, of course, but I can at least, yeah, draw into something relevant. Oh, I like this Furicous Cure, so let's see. The question is if I cast this immediately or if I'm holding it back. I think I'm actually holding it back. Bloodtroll Harpy is a spell, and a spell is really the most important thing to draw now. I could just Furicous Cure right now. There is a couple of Bestow creatures that punish me for doing that, but there's also a bunch of combat tricks that punish me for holding back the cure. No, my hope is of course that my opponent will be out of gas at some point. I'm not sure if keeping the Harpy was the best move, but I might also just want to say go next turn, holding up Lash of the Whip. Okay. It's not great for me, but it's also not the end of the world to lose. Scholar of Athreos to Magma Jet. Bottom, top. Could mean anything. Could mean a 5th land. And another guy. Even a 2-1. So now it kind of sucks to not have the Scholar. There's Ringsteed Rider. Quite bad compared to Bloodtroll Harpy right now, but I'm definitely keeping it. I also left open the white so that I can cast it. Oh, I wanted to cast the Harpy here. I'm just so behind the whole game, that's kind of unfortunate. Now if the Athlete gets targeted here, I'm just basically dead. Yeah, so it was the 5th land for my opponent. Potentially just a Nessian Asp coming down here. I'm gonna block this because I don't think this is something I'm afraid of right now. Okay, Polis Crusher. So maybe my opponent was holding the 5th land the whole time. Just left this on top. It's also possible. And now it doesn't look too strong to have kept the Arena Athlete in play rather than the Minotaur Skull Cleaver. But I think I'm pretty much losing against most of the cards that would target a creature here. I basically need my opponent not to have anything. Yeah, that's more than anything. Okay, I think my block against the Coordinated Assault was fine, but my draw just couldn't keep up with what my opponent was doing. So Minotaur Skull Cleaver aggro deck is what I'm facing. Interesting. The Sedge Scorpion also dealt quite a bit of damage. I think that Cetizen Battle Priest is a card I want, but I'm not going to take out one of the 2-drops because those are going to be really important. My more expensive cards are not great, but 4-mana 3/3s are definitely not only playable, but really good. My opponent has shown a couple of tricks, Coordinated Assault, and just Magma Jet and being quite aggressive. So God's Willing is a card that I would want to have one of, and that also works quite nicely with the additional 2-drop. Yoked Ox, on the other hand, doesn't seem like it's a card I want. Viper's Kiss is not good against his Cyclops because it has protection from enchantments. And it does kill Arena Athlete, so it's a potential card. Fellite Minotaur has 3 toughness, Return Centaur has 4 toughness, so all of these cards are viable options. I can't take out too many of the expensive cards, but what I can take out is some of the Blood Troll Harpies. Those seem to be among the weakest cards in this matchup, and I could see myself cutting one Read the Bones as well. This would be like the most aggressive way of sideboarding because I'm taking out so much stuff, but I think the matchup warrants me being a lot more focused on cheap cards. I'm actually contemplating taking out Sip of Hemlock. It is my out to the Cyclops, to the monster Cyclops, but I need to worry about the cheaper cards first and then about the more expensive stuff if I'm still alive at this point. Alright, let's see if that works out. Interesting. I need 2 lands to get my 4-drops going. I need plains for my 2-drop and 2 plains for my 3-drop, which means it's really unlikely that I get this into play. Every single card in my hand relies on me drawing lands, which probably means that I should mulligan. If I draw perfectly, I draw plains in the first 2 turns, and then I curve out. But if I only draw a single plains, then I will have this and nothing else. I don't think I could keep this hand. This hand at least has a Flash Mat Seed and then potentially a turn 3 Minotaur, so I'm going to keep it. It's really easy to tell yourself that there are draws that your deck can produce that look rather good, but I think this was a clear example of too many things having to go right. And now at least I have a 3, a 4, and a 5-drop, so if I only draw lands, I have something to play every turn. And if I don't, then hopefully I'm drawing cards to play. I'm also blocking here because I just don't want to take too much damage. I was also hoping that my opponent wouldn't have a 2-drop, but that didn't work out. So clearly I need to draw lands now. The thing is, I wanted to get rid of the Sedge Scorpion. Last game, the Sedge Scorpion stuck around the whole time, and ultimately I will have to invest a card to get rid of it. I have almost 0 raise to blank a Sedge Scorpion, so I wanted to get it over with, and now the Satyr Hedonist is a bit of a problem, but it's not really a big upgrade going from Sedge Scorpion to Satyr Hedonist. Alright, I wasn't expecting a card like this, which isn't aggressive at all. So here, Fellite Minotaur blocks Satyr Hedonist, and Pharika's Cure is probably the weaker option. Now, Fellite Minotaur is worse against certain combat tricks. I don't want to just Pharika's Cure Satyr Hedonist and take one from an attack by Karametra's Acolyte. That seems pretty bad. Now, if my opponent is sitting there with a hand of Nessian Asps and other fatties that he's now being able to accelerate out, then I'm pretty much losing either way. And it wouldn't matter if I had Pharika's Cure the Hedonist. I clearly need to get Keepsake Gorgon into play, so my whole game plan is to keep drawing lands from this point on, and the 4 cards in my opponent's hand are quite scary, I'm gonna be honest. This is not good news. I don't know what's happening here, but it looks like it's huge. 6 green. Vulpine Goliath. No, Nelia's Emissary, okay. Yep. It's a land, so at least that's working out. I'm gonna play Triad of Fates and try to double block. It's more mana efficient than casting Pharika's Cure onto the Hedonist. And if everything works out nicely, I only lose one of my creatures. Probably the Triad. Not a great trade for me, of course, but I'm still missing 1 land for Lash of the Whip, which is the alternative line that I can take. Just take the damage here. If there's another Bestow guy coming down, then things are getting really ugly. I then need to draw the land for the Death Touch. Okay, Nessian Asp is coming down. That probably means that my double block is fine, though. I will try that. I mean, tapping this before combat means that my opponent believes that he's losing a green devotion, which means that this trade is happening, I assume. And I mean, it's not a bad trade for my opponent. He's trading his what was a 2-1 against my 3-3 and gets a 3-3 trample out of the deal. Alright, he also has a Magma Jet. So 1 card on top, 1 card on the bottom. No land, that's bad. My Pharika's Cures aren't doing anything. So yeah, in all honesty, I'm pretty much dead here, but I will play out the Scholar to block Nelia's Emissary at least. And then I'm going to take 8 from Monstrify Nessian Asp. I'm going to draw a land, play Keepsake Gorgon, and then I'm hoping that my opponent doesn't have anything. That's the plan, at least. It's interesting. My opponent showed me a very aggressive start in game 1, and now looks a lot more late game oriented. But I mean, Nessian Asp and Karametra's Acolyte are fine green cards. I wasn't expecting Coordinated Assault. I didn't see a reason why my opponent would have it this turn after allowing me to kill his 5/4 trample. Maybe he just drew it or kept it on top with a Magma Jet, that's possible. So now I'm losing the Scholar, and for some reason my opponent didn't monsterify the Nessian Asp here. That doesn't make sense, right? It doesn't really make sense. Okay, yeah, that's it already. I'm just absolutely dead here. Pretty one-sided game, but I'm can't complain. I mean, the draw was fine. I was just never really in the game. Could have let the Sedge Scorpion live, but facing a 4/4 Death Touch Trample isn't much better than facing a 5/4 Trample. My opponent also didn't really need to do anything else here. Alright. Didn't quite get there with our black-white deck. The deck definitely had some trouble. I wouldn't say the mana was bad, but it was reliant on a few key cards, and then there was a bunch of cards that just didn't really live up to expectations. Wingsteed Rider was basically a good card in the wrong deck. Scholar of Athreos was really good. And then we had a bunch of Blood Troll Harpies, probably a bit more than you would want. Trade of Fates was embarrassing. I was never happy to see it in my hand, which is a very bad sign. And Opponent Overlord won us some unwinnable games, and Keepsake Rogue was amazing as always. So overall, a bunch of really nice cards and a bunch of cards that didn't really deliver. But just making it into the finals was quite an achievement, considering that there were a couple of games that looked more than over, and looked like we were pretty much dead. I just remember the Thessa's Emissary. So only 4 packs for us, but a nice Theros draft nonetheless. Let me know in the comments if you like my series, or let me know what I can do better. As always, I'm Simon Godson, recording Simon Says for mtgoacademy.com. See you next time.